This podcast is sponsored by Field Agent Canada.
Phil, I think you know, and most people who know me know, that I'm not a huge fan of demos. I do love the sampling. I want people to try my product, but I'm not convinced that the demos available today for vendors are very effective. I think they chew up a lot of time. There's a lot of product waste, and I'm never convinced that they're actually targeting the right people.
Okay, Smarty Pants, what do you do that's different?
Buy and try from Field Agent. 300,000 consumers in their shopping panel that goes across the country. These people go to the store, buy your product, have to complete a survey on what they loved, what they didn't love about your product. Get that feedback to you as quickly as possible so that you can start making the right decisions.
I like that. I think it's also really great for products that are really difficult to sample.
Absolutely. Shampoo, laundry detergent, toothpaste, deodorant, endless. And you think about it, Phil, these people get to take the product home into their own homes, into their natural environments, and give this stuff a try. It's affordable, it's fast, it's across the country, all cities. It is awesome.
This podcast is sponsored by Field Agent Canada. You guys know us. We don't endorse anyone or any product or any service we don't believe in. We've been customers of Field Agent before. They're amazing. If you need to drive trial, you need Field Agent Canada. Head to www.fieldagentcanada.com to check it out.
Hey, welcome to This Commerce Life, an unscripted podcast that focuses on the stories behind small and independent Canadian retail and Canadian CPG.
What we try and do is deliver or pull out the story of our guests and give them to you. You know, the good, the bad, the ugly of retail and CPG in Canada. We're filling a need because we think that retail is hard on the best of days, but it's also a wonderful, wonderful place to grow up and make your living.
We also think that the industry, nor the people that inadvertently find themselves in the industry, really understand the industry at all. They don't really understand what goes on behind the scenes.
So listen to us, Phil and Kenny. We'll unravel it for you. We'll give you the story. We'll give you the story behind the story. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm very well. And you?
Good, thanks.
Excellent. Excellent. Nice to meet you.
You too. You too. I'm on my phone because my computer is not agreeing with Google today.
It's okay. Yeah. Almost 1 out of every 3 calls we have are like this.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know, after all these years, we have good conferencing software and we have bad, and nobody can figure out which one's which. So
That's right.
You know, because I use Zoom. We have clients that use Teams, like, you know, and there's like some days it all just works fine, right? Like there was a whole week, I think a couple of weeks ago, that Kenny and I couldn't get on Zoom. Not for the life of us.
Really?
Just like, this is supposed to be the easiest.
That's right.
What do you do, right? Like, yeah.
You resort to the old school way. We phone each other.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Oh man. I'm excited to do this one. We're sorry about last time. Last time, I don't know what happened last time. We got all mixed up. Last time. Yeah. Kenny.
Good morning.
Are you awake?
Not
Barely. Barely. Who gets up at 7 o'clock?
I was thinking about you when I booked the 7 o'clock slot that was available. It's like, I wonder.
Yeah.
He's okay. No need to wonder.
He complains, but he's fine. He's all good. No worries.
Okay, am I echoey thing? No.
No, you were when you started in, but you sound fine now. No worries. Okay. Yeah.
Usually there's a little button that comes up. I have to shut something off or something, which I didn't see, so I wasn't too sure.
Oh man.
You're at the office, Melissa?
Pardon me?
You're at the office already?
Yeah, I am. I'm at our new place.
Where's the new place?
You can kind of see the sun's still coming up.
Where's the new place?
We're on Scott Road in Surrey, right by Scott Road SkyTrain station.
Oh, okay.
So that's actually why I originally rescheduled, because I was hoping to do this once we had moved in, and we were delayed a few weeks. So anyways, yeah, so we're here now. We've been here. This is our 6th week.
Oh wow! And
Mhm.
good digs? No, yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah.
We've increased our capacity more than 5 times, expanding our services, etc. Yeah,
Oh, that's very cool.
yeah,
Well, I mean, the amount of people we see going into frozen, I'm surprised you haven't expanded like 400 times.
yeah.
It seems like everybody wants to do frozen all of a sudden.
That's right. That's right. So we're here to hopefully look after all those folks as they continue to do that.
That's
So,
where all nuts.
so for real, we were part of a joint effort with BCFB and the Ministry of
Hmm.
Agriculture, and we taught market readiness to kind of new emerging brands.
Hmm.
I think out of, we taught, what did we teach? 7 of these, Kenny?
Seven.
7?
I'm kind of feeling
And
there's
then
probably
we
like
had kind of like on
50,
average 10 to
50 companies in
12
the end.
people per. And I
Yeah.
think out of 10 to 12 people in each class, there's easily 3 or 4
Oh, easy.
that the first things out of their mouths was, frozen, we
Hmm.
do frozen, we do. And just, I guess like we're definitely old retail guys, right? Because you kind of go, are you great? Like, that is the one section of the
We
store
just
that
had the supply
nobody
chain
wants to go.
complication. Like, really?
Yeah.
The best you could come up with was not ambient. You decided frozen, right? I mean, you've got walls and glass already that restrict merchandising,
That's right.
and then you got to get it there like this temper. Oh my God! Like, people, what is your problem?
Yep.
And
But
yet
for
they
you,
all, and yet they all want to do it, right? Like
yeah, which I kind of get. I don't blame them. It's definitively not. It's just. Well, you'll tell us all. It's just complicated. It's just an extra complication. But I mean, thank God we do frozen because I get my blueberries from Canada all year round.
Hmm. No, it certainly is complex. Anyone that decides to get into frozen, they're adding this whole other level of complexity.
For
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think what's so surprising is, like kind of industry vets will kind of run away from this category if they need to or if they can. But the newbies are all heading straight for it, right? Like,
Hmm.
Oh, I think of someone that's otherwise, if you left it to
Very
all the old guys,
but
a lot less of it.
Yeah. If you are joining us, we've got Melissa Leung on, and she is with TransCold. We've been looking forward to this one for a while, and last time we tried, and then I don't know what happened, but we postponed a couple of times. We missed her last. Was it last week or the week?
But
I
I think
believe
it's
so.
years in the making.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this has been in the works for a little while, but it couldn't come out at a better time.
Awesome.
Melissa is in her new digs that would look pretty spiffy. So kind of excited to find out more about you. I've heard lots about you and TransCold, so looking forward to kind of hearing about you and what got you to where you are. We're talking about running away from the industry. You have really doubled down. So
True.
so I think we want to talk about everything, Melissa, and then everything kind of frozen and cold, I guess.
And with this way, you can probably start from how it all started, Melissa. So you can, I mean, I think the reason actually we were even doing this, I think your dad pinged me on LinkedIn
Hmm.
time and said we should be on the podcast. I'm thinking,
yes, you should.
John,
Yes.
whatever you want. Of course, I'm not going to say no. Yes, you should. You should book a time then. And I think,
That's
honestly,
right.
I think this has probably been 2 or 3 years in the making. I think we've been talking about this it feels like forever. So I'm super stoked to have you on. You guys have done a wicked job in this space, and I think for us, because we do get so many people, it's good for people now to have somebody within the space that they could actually talk to, go to, use, etc. Or if anything, it'll make them rethink it so that when they're ready to come to you or whomever they choose, that they're
Yes.
more ready, because it is complex.
Mhm.
And not, just figuring out how to use you, how it's going to get to market, how it all plays out. There's a lot of complexities, but I think for those, we don't want to squish anybody's dream of doing this because I think it's a great category, but they just need to understand it better.
Yeah.
And if they with you with a little more information, I think better for them, better for you, better for all of us. So, if you don't mind, you can start with I guess sort of how it started,
Sure.
what your role is now, and then just take us. Well, we'll go wherever it goes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Super happy to. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this. So,
Well, really?
we'll see how it goes. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
You're doing
Thank
amazing
you.
already.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
Killed
for
it.
the opportunity, both of you. I don't know if you know Phil, but Ken, I don't know if Ken even remembers, but Ken and I have a little bit of a history. We fooled around with a frozen food program at London
We
Drugs
tried.
a number of years, long time ago now.
Yeah, we tried. That's about 20 years, I bet you know. Eh?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Wow.
right. That's
10
right.
or 16, 17 years maybe.
Yeah, well, so that's if you want me to get into the story, I can
Well, you go wherever you
it
want.
kind of
You,
it
you
kind
go
of
where you want.
starts
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah.
TransCold was born in 2002, and I probably met Kenny about 4 or 5 years after that.
Yeah.
Was born here in Vancouver in 2002. But there's a long history before that. So Kenny mentioned my father. My father started in the ice cream business in 1986 in Ottawa, Ontario. I actually grew up in Kingston, Ontario, so
Oh,
not
wow.
far from you, Phil.
Okay. Yeah.
And do you remember the Dickie D ice cream bicycles? Either of you?
Yeah.
You do?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was how my father entered the ice cream business. And
That's
you can
awesome.
say that's where the frozen all started, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
In '86 we were in Ottawa, and he had an opportunity to quit his full-time paying job and became an entrepreneur, running Dickie D ice cream bicycles in kind of half of Ottawa. And then within a year, there was an opportunity to have an exclusive territory in the Kingston area. So he moved us, our family, to Kingston, and that's where my brother and I grew up. And he ran a fleet of 25, 30 ice cream bicycles between Cornwall and Belleville.
No way.
Yeah, so all summer he'd
Wow.
be, never home,
Yeah.
slogging ice cream with all these teenagers and some full-time adults running the carts. And then in the winter, and this is actually, I have a lot of fond memories, is in the winter, he'd be operating at all the stadiums, right? So for the OHL games and concerts and all those sorts of things. And actually my first concert was Brian Adams in the Memorial Center in Kingston, Ontario, because he sold ice cream there, right?
It's amazing.
Super cool. Yeah. So anyways, fast forward, how did we end up in BC? Dickie D was bought by Unilever, Good Humor
Unilever. That's
Breyers,
right. Yeah.
in 1992.
Yeah.
And that kind of really accelerated wholesale distribution of really the single serve ice creams into gas and convenience stores. So he started to do that. Meanwhile, had the Dickie D ice cream bike going, business going, but getting into wholesale was really, what accelerated the business. And he formed a business called the Ice Cream Man. He was the ice cream man, wholesaling ice cream in a good portion of Ontario surrounding Kingston. And with that, Unilever brought him out to BC in 1999. They ran their own corporate routes in all the major centers in Canada, and they were having a lot of challenges out here in BC, in particular, Alberta as well, but BC was the focus. So he landed here in Vancouver and started reworking their distribution network and getting things in proper order. It was in a disarray. And during that time, my mom was still running the wholesale. When my mom was running the wholesale business, I was running the Dickie D business in Kingston, and he was here.
Okay.
Yeah, lots of fun. Anyways,
Labor, no
and
child labor.
yeah, exactly. And during that time, leadership changed at Unilever, and the new leadership came in and didn't want to run corporate routes anymore. So they made a decision to launch master distributors across Canada, pulling all their routes out. So John, my father, had the opportunity to be involved in that transformation. So as you might do if you've come out and experienced Vancouver, you may not want to leave anymore. And
What? I have no idea what you're talking about.
yeah.
No idea.
So he had the opportunity to stay and take over as master distributor, BC and Alberta, the Northwest Territories, and the Yukon. So he did that. And before TransCold was launched, he helped transition the other master distributors across Canada with Unilever. So hence TransCold was born 2002. here in Vancouver, initially as the master distributor for Unilever ice cream, which meant every stick, every tub of Unilever ice cream, so Klondike, Popsicle, Friars, etc., went through our hands before it got to the store shelves. At that same point, I moved out and started working with him here in Vancouver, looking after the sales team at the time. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, so
mhm.
somewhere in there, did
Mhm.
you? I mean, you didn't have a choice because Dad was in ice cream. You kind of
Mhm.
went everywhere that Dad went, right? And
I
there's some
did.
cool benefits like hanging out with Brian Adams or being at the concert.
And
Yeah.
having ice cream.
But did you
Nice.
think that this was what you were gonna like? Did you kind of look at what I'm just? It's a curiosity for me because we see
Mhm.
a lot of family businesses. Did
Mhm.
you know you were gonna always go into
I'm kind of curious as to like, so
ice
like, you
cream and
know,
family, like
like
or
you're a
were you
teenager
kind of
in
yeah?
Kingston doing this. Like you think that, 30 years later, 25 years later, whatever the number is, you're thinking that this was my route. I was
Like
going
ice
to
cream,
do
this is it, right? Like that's my bicycle. I'm just joking.
for life.
I did have my own bicycle. It was very
I'm sure
important to
you
me.
did. Sure you had targets too.
That's right. That's right. The short answer is no. And I think because, the vending side of the business was declining, right? As I was kind of going through the last years of high school, and I was more involved. I was running that part of the business for him. It was declining. It was, the world was changing, and the perception was a bit different. So sales weren't what they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I kind of thought that, ice cream's kind of done, right? In my world, because there wasn't this outlook that there'd be this opportunity in Western Canada for like a few years of time. There wasn't any sort of outlook that this opportunity was going to come and TransCold was going to be born.
Right.
So no, I actually took 2 years when he moved out here. Um, I took what I call my 2 year hiatus from ice cream. I didn't know it was a 2 year hiatus from ice cream, but it ended up being a 2 year hiatus from ice cream. I managed two bars in Kingston, Ontario, and then this whole thing happened with Unilever and TransCold was going to happen, and Dad said, "Hey, you should come out, right? You should be a part of this."
Yeah.
Which I'm so grateful for, and I did. I listened to him, of course. I always do what he says, and and
We'll
came
just let
out.
that one slide.
Yeah.
We'll cut that into a little short so we can
Yeah.
play it back for him.
We
A
can
couple.
just
There
send
you
it to
go.
John. Here, John,
He'll
this is
love
what she
that.
said.
He'll love that. He'll love that. Yeah. So I would say no, but once I got out here and saw where we were going, that was it. All in, since then.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to argue, right? Like,
Mhm.
ice cream is hard to argue with. Most cold things that you think about right off the get go are hard to argue with, right? Like,
Yes, yes.
Well, it's a commodity on its own, but again, like this is not an easy. Like I mean, we keep coming back to, but it's not an easy world.
No.
Like you've got so many, like if you're going to distribute stuff, like distributing stuff in general is not easy either, right? Because you typically don't have a lot of margins, and you have high
Mhm.
operating costs, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
When you go to your world, I think the margins get a little lighter, and the operating costs definitely go the other way.
That's
Like they
right.
increase. Like you've got a lot of issues. I mean, it's not. Yeah, this one's definitely not for the faint of
it's
heart.
too late to talk her out of the business, Kenny. She's
No,
already.
I'm always listen. You know what it was?
Yeah.
I remember when John first came in. It's got to be like near 20 years, probably 15
Yeah.
to 20 years.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
remember when Melissa came in, and your dad's just a super nice man. But I was always more not impressed. But I was always more impressed with when you came in because it was interesting to see, because at that time there wasn't a lot of women doing anything at that time, sort of within grocery. Really, it's not that
Mhm.
long ago, and it was, it's, thank God now it's definitely changing, but it is
Yes.
still pretty male heavy,
Yes.
right? But definitely back then it was definitely much more male heavy, and you were a lot stronger personality. Like you weren't a weak person coming in. I remember like talking with, like you were definitively part of the decisions what we were going to do, and telling us what we should do, which made more sense anyway, because if you left it to me, who knows what would happen. It was hard enough doing it anyway, but I don't know. I just found it really, it's just very cool, right? I don't know where I was going with that.
We'll cut that.
Need it.
You know, the back end of that kind of faded away a little, but that part about he was more impressed about you than your dad, we'll cut that for you as
Yes.
well.
Oh yeah, I
We'll
guess
balance the other one.
snippets.
Your dad will have the clip that says,
Yeah,
"Always
poor
do what
John's
my
gonna
dad
have
wants."
nothing
The
out of
other
this
one
podcast.
is Kenny was way more impressed when
Yeah.
Melissa came in than when John.
Yeah, I mean, we got child labor, more impressed with Melissa. What else do we have in there? They've got a whole bunch of things for John. That's good.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so guys, like we don't
Yeah.
just do ice cream anymore, right? But that's where we came from.
That's where you started.
That's how we started. That's where we came from. That's, you know, we're very passionate about it. And, you know, you keep saying that, you know, it's crazy, right? Like it's a crazy industry. And it truly is. Like when we hire people, we say, you know, there's a lot of us that we've been around here a long time, and ice cream is basically in our blood. Like, well, we don't just do ice cream anymore. Like we're a little wacko, right? Crazy people doing ice cream because frozen is one thing, but ice cream is a whole other thing. Like
Yeah.
you can't lose temperature and the
No.
product is fine, right? You can't
No.
have any sort of significant fluctuation. Whereas with frozen food, you can. There's a bit more flexibility,
Yeah.
right? So for us, it's been pretty simple. We're a dedicated frozen network. Every truck, every facility is frozen, and all we do is frozen. And we DSD everywhere. So we're now shipping. For the last 2 years, we've been delivering to every Walmart in Canada. We DSD to every Walmart in Canada, coast to coast.
Wow.
And it goes on, right? So you know, all the majors we're DSD or warehouse to. Our portfolio, you know, we were 100% Unilever in 2002. It's less than half of our portfolio now, and we've really diversified. We still carry a large majority of the ice cream category. If you go to, you know, Georgia, Maine, or go down to Highland Farms, Phil, and you look at that set, we're bringing a large majority of it to the stores, and we're continuing, you know, every day we're trying to expand that and be that one solution for those retailers. But on top of that, we also have frozen foods as well. You had one of our clients on a few weeks ago. And we've been expanding there, helping some local companies get going into frozen, working with them to use, you know, our network that's already established with the retailers to bolt on to in order to get their products on shelf. You know, if they were just working with a distributor that was only bringing their product to the store, they'd have a hard time meeting minimum orders. But the beauty of TransCold is it's one minimum order. So if it's a 30 case minimum, let's pretend normally it's 15 or 10, then you can combine everything. So if you need only one case of tamales and only one case of frozen food entree and then 3 Briars and 1 Chapman's, whatever it is, that can all be delivered at once, and you get that.
Tamales and ice cream.
Yeah, tamales and ice cream. You get those cases on your shelf, and you don't have those holes, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just buying that one brand from direct or one distributor, you have these minimum orders to work with, and it gets really challenging for the retailers and then for the brands because they can't get the product to the store.
Well, for sure. So
Yeah.
you're coast to coast now? So you're no longer like, so you're a master distributor at one point, just
Yes.
sort of BC, Alberta, Yukon, Northwest.
Yes.
So now that was the ice cream world a million years ago. So now you're going like literally.
We have a net. We're not running our own trucks coast to coast. So we have a network of distributors that we're working with. And depending on the province, our portfolio changes. So we do Unilever in BC and Alberta.
Right.
We have 7 brands we do nationally. Example would be Melona bars. You guys familiar with Melona bars?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we distribute those coast to coast.
Oh.
Number of other brands we do coast to coast. So it really regionally depends on what the
realize
portfolio
I
is.
thought you guys were just so west. I didn't even know you.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were going full across.
We are. Yes.
Wow.
We are. DSD primarily, and of course we have the warehouse deliveries as well.
But DSD is where the help is probably needed because
That's right.
First thought, it's hard to get into the warehouse. If you get into the warehouse, that's a whole different world.
That's right.
But to your point, you're not shipping to 5,000 points, but a lot of these small brands can't. Warehouse is not even on the horizon, and they really need to get into stores, and that's where really a lot of the complexity is how do you service all these little grocers? Just do Vancouver.
Well, listen, you think of tamales, right? Like tamales is a great example. Is you kind of go, she gets into a bunch of stores, she realizes, holy crap, this is difficult.
I can't do this from my truck, right?
I can't do this on my own. I can do a handful of stores. Like there's no small.
And it's safe at that point,
version, right? Like a reefer is a reefer. Like they only come in so many sizes, and nobody wants to drive one of those, right? Like
no. And someone's calling me from Kelowna, and how am I going to get them their product, et cetera, et cetera? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so those partnerships have been really valuable on both sides, right? We're continuing to bring more to the retailers, so less trucks, less invoices, less everything.
Yeah.
And these manufacturers have the ability to expand responsibly as they'd like to, because they have a network to do so.
I just like the fact, even the consolidation. So like when we do here, like I push everybody to you guys. I just tell people to phone. I just tell them to go on LinkedIn.
Thank you.
I'm Melissa because it's just easier. And because I have dealt with you in the past at a lot of different levels that you don't have to worry about. It's not just ice cream. Like there is a way to hit minimums. Because again, you can't have 6 distributors doing your frozen if you're small because there's just, it just doesn't work. Like you're really trying to find someone who can do at least give me like 3 or 4 categories. Like, let me get something. And I can't do pallets. Like it has to be down to cases. And if you're talking like 15, 20 cases potentially as minimum, that's a whole different world of, thank God.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really, again, I keep saying it's difficult, but it is a difficult step because of that. Because even in the store perspective, it's not like ambient where if I just find a corner to stuff things, as long as I remember where I stuffed them, they're fine.
Or you don't. Or you don't. Like there's a lot of excess.
Well, what do you do in refrigerated, like frozen, like refrigerated? I even have options like, I can find a cold spot, do it for long because it's not the point. But, you could do things, but frozen is frozen.
Frozen is difficult.
If you have storage, that means you got other fridge freezers somewhere storing stuff for the front of the store. It's not.
But I think the thing, like if you're a little brand and you're playing this out, like the flip side to what you guys do, we talked to probably a year and a bit ago, we talked to a company that does Brazilian cheese dots. And they're delicious, but they're frozen. They're in southern Ontario, out of Niagara. And they started shipping and realized how complicated it was. And they went the other way. So he actually bought a reefer, right? Like a frozen truck, and then start driving around, realize that this is terrible. It costs a lot of money and I can't ship enough of my own bread. So he started taking on other people who needed frozen.
Yeah.
And this guy who, he and his wife, they make these amazing things. And he spends a day and a half a week driving around the Golden Horseshoe in Toronto, like, kind of Southern Ontario, delivering, because that's the only way he can make the economics of that one truck work. And you kind of go, this is not like, you make Brazilian cheese bread. You should go
just focus on that. You shouldn't be worried about distribution.
You're not the guy, right? Like, don't try and do, So I think, to me, it's amazing because you provide an avenue that allows these brands to kind of focus on what they do and not worry about being able to get stuff to store, right? Like, I think that's such a big deal.
Well, so when you see some, especially the small brands, because that's a lot of the ones who listen to this, like what are some of the things that you see when they get to you that you kind of not shake your head or scratch your head, but sort of shake your head and scratch your head and think, I just wish you had thought this out a little bit more, or like what helps you them before they get too far into it so that when they get you, they're a little more ready?
It's a great question. Almost 100% of the time, freight has not been considered. right? So I'm a brand. I'm selling direct to Johnny's Market,
Yeah.
and I'm selling to them at whatever margin I want to make, but I haven't considered that this business is going to grow, and then I'm going to need somebody else to help me get it to the 100 Johnny Markets.
Right.
And so now I have to present this drastic price increase to the retailer because I haven't considered distribution. I didn't
Yeah.
put distribution in my costs.
We're
It
always like
happens like 99% of the time.
Yeah.
And then either we can't go forward and they're stuck. And that happens quite often, right? Because they don't want to lose those customers. And all of it makes sense. But they can't grow further because they can't get distribution costs now into their costs.
Yeah. And they
That
don't
would be
realize
number one.
you can't get cogs down. The cogs dropping, there's not enough cogs dropping you can do to make up that ground.
No. So it is a lot of the time a showstopper.
Yeah.
And really common. We'll have kind of one meeting, maybe two, and then you get worried, right? As the brand, oh well, I've worked so hard to get this customer base, and if I present too much of a price change, I'm going to lose it all, which is completely makes sense. So a lot of the time, they go off and continue doing what they're doing the way that they are, or look at another option.
Or just a different SKU. Maybe
still,
that's the point where you just say, listen, I'm
That's
doing
right.
this. Maybe I need to try something else, or I resize, or I guess
Exactly.
rebrand, but again, to your point, I mean,
or you just make peace with
I can just have
do
to
what
do
I can do. So I can do the 20, 30
Yeah.
stores. It makes an okay living. I've
Yeah.
either,
That's right.
I've got to do this for a few years until I can figure out how to get myself out of where I am. Right.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
That's disappointing.
I'd say that's the most common. Yeah. So this new facility here, just to add for you guys, this we expanded our capacity, like I said, and that is to offer storage services as well. So and this is because we've had so many brands come to us and they make their product and then they need somewhere to put it. And then they need someone to distribute it. And we can do the distribution part, but we can't hold hundreds of pallets for you. We didn't have that capacity. So this new facility here in Vancouver, and we have capacity already in Calgary. Now we have this capacity in Vancouver. We're able to also offer that service to our brand partners. That has been a sticky point. It's made things more complex for our brands because they have to store over here, and then they're using TransCold for distribution over here. And so we've been able to narrow it all down to you can have it all within one building. And then really the key differentiator between us and the other guys doing storage is we do DSD, right? So you join TransCold as a brand, and we're DSDing to whatever customers you have. We also then put your brand in our portfolio, and we'll start expanding your brand as well into the retailers that we service. And so those are kind of the two key things as we've added capacity, that we're able to provide that additional service of storage to our brand partners. Yeah, we're really excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough to. Again, it's such a tough category. It's tough to get larger runs to help to potentially give your cogs a break. If you can't, again, it's not ambient. You have to store it frozen. And I think that was always a large problem too. Like you couldn't give people for some small brands, it's the difference between from getting 100 cases to 250, and that 250 case break for their little world is enough to make a difference in cogs. Like it does help them. But great, you get to 250 and they're thinking, well, where am I going to put the 150? There's not enough I don't have a freezer in my garage big enough to do 150 cases.
No.
You know what I mean? It was tough to find people because who wants to store stuff? Like even on your side, as a distributor, there's because again, you've got so much things that you have to build around it to store it. It's not just pick a corner in the warehouse.
That's right.
They're all frozen corners. There's a lot of electricity. There's structure. That's a huge service. That's a huge win for people. How many warehouses are you running in the city now then? Is it just everything gone to Surrey or?
Yeah, everything's in Surrey. We have a facility in Nanaimo.
Isn't there one? Wasn't there something on Anasis or?
Yes, that's where we moved from.
That's the old one. That was a huge facility already though.
It was far too small for us the last 5-6 years, Kenny.
That thing looked
Uh,
nice. 'Cause my wife works in that area, just
oh
down.
yeah.
She works for the plumbers union, just down the street.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought, wow, that you guys have gotten huge.
Yeah,
So
we
clearly,
expanded that freezer twice.
oh, okay, forget it then. You guys,
And then we had no more room to go. So we
okay,
actually,
honestly, wow, okay.
yeah, and we bought this land. So this was, a whole new adventure for us. We bought this land and built the building ourselves. And yeah, so big project the last 5 years.
So you have space now, like
Lots of space. Yeah. Yeah, we've built it for the
I
future.
think if you're a little brand, here's what you got to hear out of this conversation. Like, one is, a family that really understands frozen, right? That understands ice cream of all the kind of like sensitivities, and then understands frozen. I think the store space is a big one. I think the other one is, like, you got to hear, like, as Melissa's been talking, you hear someone who has experience with Unilever, like all the Unilever brands and all the doors that Unilever's in, right? So an ice cream set in every store everywhere, which means all of a sudden your ability to get to these places is already there when you're with Melissa. It's just
100%.
more, you've got to make the breakthrough at head office, but she can deliver it as soon as you do that, right? Like, that's a big...
It's huge, and head office
deal.
trust them. It's a door on it, like it's an open door on an open door kind of thing, right? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you're at least dealing with someone trusted within the space as well. And the DSD aspect is huge.
I think the other thing to add actually to what you guys are saying is we're also a vendor at all the retailers. So that can be another sticky point, right? Is getting set up as a vendor.
For sure.
We are a vendor at every retailer. So that removes that potential challenge as well. Most of our brands ride on our vendor number, our paper.
Oh, really?
So much easier too. Then you guys can do the AR and all that shit.
Exactly.
I have one person to deal with. I don't have 50 stores that I have to chase for.
That's right. And it's great for the retailers too, right? Less
Easier,
AP. Yeah, it makes things a lot easier.
I just wish people, like you said, I mean, because we notice it a lot already when Phil and I do it.
Yeah.
I wish people just took the time to build. I mean, we have this conversation literally probably daily with somebody. You're thinking, guys, you didn't build in the fact that there's layers that you need to have one day, because you're not going to want to drive to Chilliwack from East Van every other day just for shits and giggles. Right? It's, you know what I mean? Or how do you get to Kelowna? How do you get to Trail? How do you get to Prince George? You got to build this stuff in, right?
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Or you got to buy a reefer like our friend did, which is nuts.
I couldn't, like,
I still can't. I still every time I hear that story, I think,
right?
oh boy.
Because I'm just like, it's one thing if you've got an ambient product or like a hard good that you're like driving around the city delivering, and already you kind of go, the first few times as a founder, you go, yay, I'm delivering product, right? Like by day 5, you're going, this fucking
why am I doing this?
This is the stupidest thing I've ever done.
Boxes there, like, but I can't.
So
even
is he still running his own truck?
I think so. I mean, we haven't talked to him in a little bit, but I think he is. Like,
okay,
we'll introduce.
Well, I think he had to help. Again, I think what they did is they figured out that they weren't the only ones who could do this, so that's why he bought the small truck.
Yeah,
but now he's probably driving 300-400 clicks a week. And then
he really was like,
and then you're working the plant. Then you're doing and you're thinking.
Like, so Melissa, because the problem, like, he was driving from Niagara. He was making weekly runs all the way out to Oshawa Pickering. And then, if I remember right, like every other week he was going as far as Kingston. So you kind of go, like, Niagara to Kingston, like, how are you even thinking about baking, right? Like, because he was talking about like full days, right? I'm thinking,
all you're doing is driving a truck now.
Dusk to dawn, like.
And then why do you want that? Right? Like, why do you want the maintenance? Why do you want to do this? Like, there's.
We'll ask him, because then I can introduce you.
Yeah,
they really do make really great bread, so I'd want him to make more bread. Can I ask? Story. Like, so I'm curious. Like, are there, kind of interesting products that you've brought on lately? Like we've kind of had this,
That's what I was gonna
right?
ask.
Like we've had this, I think with all the flash frozen stuff and all the new
Hmm.
tech, there's tamales we didn't have before. There are all these kind of weird, funny, amazing products. Like, is there anything that kind of like sticks out in your brain?
Well, I have to say the tamale company, Nadia, who you had
She's
on a
awesome.
few weeks ago. She's so
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
That was a great podcast. I do
yeah.
listen, by the way.
Oh,
I'm
thank you.
one of your largest fans.
Oh, thank you.
I That's probably the most diverse product we've brought in
Yeah.
recently,
Okay.
and she's that typical story. She was doing her own distribution.
Yeah.
She had a small distributor on the side too because she needed that distributor to get her to a certain retailer. She couldn't do that herself direct
Hmm.
for the same complexities we've discussed, the vendor situation, etc. But it didn't work out very well for her. So that's how we kind of ended up coming together. And so now she's backing away and focusing on producing her product and expanding her product. And we're taking over all of her existing distribution. And then our sales team's out presenting her brand where it makes sense to
That's
other
awesome.
customers, right? Because that's our commitment to our customers is to continue to expand our offerings and present to you what makes sense. So I would say her brand, the tamales, is most definitely the newest and most diverse. We have a number of other brands this year joining, a lot in the frozen dessert space. Kaiser's one out of Quebec. It's an oat-based product, 946 ml tub in the better for you category, and that one is it's needed. It's a family size versus the typical pints on
Yeah.
shelf. So we'll start to see that out in the market
Like
shortly.
an oat-based ice cream.
That's right. That's right. And that's not
Awesome.
new, right? Ben
No,
and
but
Jerry's has oat and such, but it's a larger
No,
family
but
family
family size.
size
Yeah.
tub.
Canadian.
Um, Canadian, still at a reasonable price, and very clean. So it'll be in Whole Foods and it'll be in a number of
Well,
other
that's awesome.
retailers. Yeah, so lots of great things
You're calling on
entering the
that side too.
space.
So it's not that you're not just conventional and not just independents. You're calling on like Whole Foods and
That's right.
you're
All
calling
the
everybody,
majors.
I guess. I don't
Everybody,
know how
yeah.
big you've gotten. Like I know you
I,
gotten big. I didn't like that's why I'm kind of man, I knew you guys were getting large. I didn't realize you were getting large. Like you're everywhere.
my father would say we're still humble ice cream taxi drivers, and we certainly are. Yeah. We're just like humble frozen taxi drivers now, not just the ice cream portion, right? But yeah, Kenny, we deliver to Costco, from Costco, Walmart, down to
God bless her.
Joe's Variety at the corner of your street. We are servicing all channels and trying to bring them the appropriate
Right.
products, right? Appropriate brands, and continuing to expand what we bring them.
And you have a team, so you actually have a team out there that you like knocking on. Is okay, not for anything. I always tell people just be careful. Like there's a lot of distributors who are box movers. They do it phenomenally well, better than you'll ever do box moving, and that's why you don't want to be a box mover. Like you want to be a salesperson and a developer, right? Again, your complexity is different, but you also do have a team out there that is knocking on doors and trying to grow business.
We do, yeah. So we have an outside sales team in the market.
Yeah.
And then we also have an inside sales team, and that's how we service our customers, get our customers' orders. So just outside my office here, we have a team that outbound calls all of our customers for their orders on their order day. Customers have other ways they can place their orders, right? But so they can place them online. Of course, we have customers that place their orders, EDI, etc. We also have customer service and inside sales team making
That's
sure
awesome.
the customers order. So if you are an online order customer, but you didn't order today, we'll still call you and remind you because you're busy and you forget. So we kind of have both working in tandem. The outside sales team is getting new distribution, new accounts, and also the face of the company to our clients as needed. So the inside sales team and outside sales team work hand in hand to look after the clients.
I think that's important for people to understand because again, there's a lot of distributors that are very good distributors, but their main focus is the box moving. It's typically a little harder to find people that do box moving as well as assistant sales, as well as being able to do that. Are your sales team able to work with the principal? So like like let's say Nadia wanted to go out
Mm-hmm.
and, I don't know, pitch with you or something. I'm asking because I think sometimes I don't think a lot of these new brands understand what they can and maybe what they can't do with distributors. So are you guys?
Oh, certainly. Yeah, we're very open. Actually, Nadia's here next week making lunch for everybody. And meeting. So that's how she's going to engage the outside sales team,
That's
and then they'll
awesome.
probably line up some calls directly together. But certainly, yeah, the walls are down. We're wide open.
That's
Just want to work
fantastic.
with everyone to grow the business, right? For them, for us, for the retailers.
Oh, this is so exciting. Do you have a favorite ice cream?
Oh, I have so many.
Listen, you're the ice cream lady. Like, what am I like? I have to ask that question.
Yeah, after all these
You're like
years,
an ice
okay, like
cream
you narrow it
dinosaur,
down to
right?
a favorite or a group of
Yeah.
favorites.
Honestly, I'm still just diehard Ben and Jerry's. Like you just can't eat it. You know, all the
Yeah.
stuff.
There's so much cool shit in there, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know. Yeah, Ben and Jerry's is definitely in my top.
I am glad that Unilever did not ruin that one. Because typically people
Yes.
bought it, right? And I
That's right.
after all of the other kind of big company buys, you went, oh, no, not that one, right?
No,
Like,
they're gonna
that one's
kill
the
this
one
one
you
too,
can't
right?
ruin, right? But
No.
it's been great. Like it's
They seem to have learned to just leave it alone. It's not meant to. It could be big, but it's not meant to be thinking big. It needs to do Ben and Jerry
doing their own
things.
thing. I like it. I like it.
Right?
It does
I
its
like
own
it.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an important brand for the category for sure.
Yeah.
I think so too.
What about you guys? Favorite ice cream?
You know, who I love is our friend out of Calgary,
Righteous.
Princess Gelato.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
he's a gem of a human being, and it's
Yes.
and it's a wonderful product. So I love that stuff. There is, and then I love the Ben and Jerry stuff as well for sure. And then I think I've got a couple of and then Kawartha Lakes here because Kawartha ice cream here in Ontario is pretty rocking. So those are kind of my three.
See, and I just go on the hunt for flavor. I just like coffee ice creams.
Okay.
So I don't care who it is, as long as it's good. So if you have recommendations, I'll line up and take them. But I just like good coffee ice cream, and I'll float between who's ever got it. It's as long as it's good, man.
As long as it's good.
And in our
coffee
city, we
flavor?
have a lot of really cool independents as well, right?
Well, you've got guys like Honest Ice Cream.
Got Dolce too, that used to be on the drive.
That's right.
We
got some really great independents in the city.
We do.
We're lucky that way.
We do, for sure.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's cool, Melissa.
Thank you for doing this with us.
Yeah, I'm. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, we'd love to do at some point. I don't know if you're open to it, but we'd love to come out and do a little filming with you.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Absolutely.
That'd be kind of fun, just to show people, like, see what it
does. Really, like we talk to so many people who are into this, and I don't think like even this episode I think is going to be hugely enlightening. But I feel like filming there a little bit and getting them a sense of what you really could do would be amazing, because I think that would help them understand even more. So next time I'll reach back out. We'll figure out.
Oh yeah, we'd love that. Absolutely.
And, if that works for you guys. So
now, are you doing grocery or CHFA, or are you going to be around those?
I'll be there. Yeah, we don't have a booth, but I'll be walking the show. I think that's when I last saw you guys. Actually, was CHFA.
You'll see us because we're both. Phil's coming back for grocery and for CHFA.
We're matchmaking this year, so make sure you come by. We'll get we're kind of doing an old school thing, so we're gonna try and match make people, and I suspect that you are going to be very high on that list, right? Is folks, because we go to shows and they're always like, I need someone, I do frozen product, and everyone goes, oh. So,
why?
And I'd be like,
yeah. So I think what we're going to wind up doing is taking Polaroids of people who are looking for things or people who are supplying things, and then kind of either writing down a contact number, email, or like a booth number. And then, so when people are looking for things, we'll be able to point to them and go, listen, take a picture of this one.
and then go find that person, right? So we're going to try and do some of that to try and, we do that anyway at shows,
Mhm.
but this might be it'll be an interesting way to try this and see how it goes. So
That's a great idea. That's exciting. Yeah, I'll be sure to come by.
yeah.
And well, if you're in town during that time,
Okay.
maybe that's when you can come by. Let me know.
Yeah.
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 Okay, we'll keep
have to
you
figure that
posted.
one. That might work,
Mhm.
actually.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
I love
Wow.
it. Yay. Thank you.
Very cool.
Thank you for doing
Thanks for
this.
fun. I'm glad we finally
Yeah.
got this one done.
Yay.
I'm glad you were able to come on.
Super
We've
excited.
been wanting to get you on because I think it's just if people need a friend in this category, like you can be.
Oh no, you need a friend in
You
this.
need it.
If you're thinking about Frozen, if you're thinking about, you need a friend.
Find a friend.
Like call friends. You need a friend. Call a friend.
Yeah.
Like you need friends,
Yeah.
but you can't do this
Yeah.
on your own. Like it's not the category. So
No.
yeah, that's awesome.
We're happy to be friends. Thank you so much for the opportunity, guys. It was great
For
to
nothing.
chat.
You're welcome.
Say hi to Pop.
Yeah.
I will for sure.
Yeah.
I will
do
for
that.
sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I guess we'll see you.
We'll see
We'll
you.
see you in a couple weeks,
See
like
you in a couple
literally.
weeks. Yeah.
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 It's not that far away.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
No, it's coming up fast. So
Mhm.
Awesome.
all right. Awesome.
Melissa, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good
Enjoy
day.
your day,
You too.
and we'll chat with you in a couple weeks.
All right. Sounds great. See ya.
Thanks.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
You need a friend. It's a
You need a friend.
it's a tough one to distribute on your own.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's important. You gotta like, you just gotta, and then I think this is one where you kind of go, if you were ever gonna try and save, this is not the one to save on, right? Like it's just not, like you just can't.
You can't.
Like if you're not an ice cream and you're in Frozen, you have a tiny bit more leeway, but you just can't. Like you just can't. Like this is not.
So I mean, just if anybody listens and they're not quite into distribution yet, stop, build the distributor in, like especially in this one. Like in ambient, you could probably do it for a while. Like you can even ship from the house. You can phone courier. Like you can do it. Not great, a lot of work, but Frozen. Like what are you going to do? Like you don't have a lot of options. You got to find a good distributor to help you. It's near impossible otherwise.
Yeah.
Like seriously, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
Awesome. I think that is all. Thanks for listening.
Okay, thanks for listening, folks.
That button.